now it's now time for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning. And let's bring in Kola Lakpini, an international human rights lawyer. And he joins me right now. Thank you. It's good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning.
And it's good to have you again here today.
Thank you. My condolences to Arise TV.
Yes.
On the loss of your staff. That was
yeah. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. It's a very tough moment for us, but of course we've been trying to cope. And thank you so much for your prayers. Well, let's get straight to the review now. Let's start from this day of record. Jonathan, I thought Buhari will end Boko Haram since they once chose him as negotiator, and that's on the front page of this day. Some of the writers there put it this way: reviews Chibok girls abduction, permanent scar on his administration. Shehu Garba, former president, declares terrorist group never nominated Buhari as a mediator. I think you have that similar headlines, of course, on the Punch as well, where he says Buhari's aide to Jonathan stop lying. Boko Haram wanted to kill Buhari. That's, of course, another angle to that particular headline. But still on this day, Cardoso reforms have sparked global investors' renewed appetite for Nigeria. Adebayo Ogulesi, Nigeria now exciting to investors, indicate interest in gas, aviation, renewable energy, maritime sector, and there you have it. Of course, back to the front page, of course, the major headline there coming from, Jonathan. There was a book launch yesterday, of course, which the former retired Army General Irabo unveiled a book which titled, My Scars. And according to what we heard, or the report, of course, we were there and we reported it. And there was a kind of a clash or disagreement between Sultan of Sokoto and, of course, Jonathan, because Jonathan said, I thought the Buhari administration would have ended Boko Haram since it was chosen as a negotiator. But then, of course, we're seeing reactions from his aides now saying, look, Boko Haram actually wanted to kill Buhari, that Buhari was never a negotiator for Boko Haram. How do you react? It looks like we're having to reflect on our past.
We should always reflect on our past. And there are three dots there which I would want to connect.
Right.
Well, the first connection would be Jonathan's famous headline, and then the reaction of Buhari's staff, and even an incident that happened when Irabo himself was Chief of Defense Staff.
Yes.
So yeah, we all know what happened under Goodluck Jonathan. The Chibok girls were stolen right from the government's nose, and there was previous warning. It's the same thing all over again. You will have warnings in Bokos and parts of Plateau that these marauders are coming and they are going to strike. Government would go to sleep. The villages will be attacked. They would be calling the GOC or the police. Nobody will turn up. Immediately the bandits leave. Then the soldiers come. Or you have a situation where there's going to be an impending attack. The soldiers or the security services go in and they mop the guns of the locals. They mop the guns, ding guns and local whatever that these people can defend themselves with. They don't disarm the terrorists or whatever, and the people are just slaughtered. So, Goodluck Jonathan, if you remember that time when the negotiators, or rather, could we say negotiators, or people who were in constant touch with Boko Haram were saying that Boko Haram was demanding for General Buhari to come and negotiate. And I thought that was very strange. The general is not a guerrilla. Right. He is a trained, regular army guy. So why were they asking for him? That was the question. But he did it. I think he disassociated himself completely when that occurred. So maybe it might be a jibe by the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, saying, I thought Buhari was going to be able to negotiate. And in fairness to General Buhari, I'm not one of his greatest fans. I'm one of his critics. He was attacked. If you remember, his convoy was attacked by elements set with Boko Haram. Now to the gentleman who wrote the book itself. And this is always a problem with our guys when they're in service. Okay? So much money was pumped into this onslaught, into this fight, and we don't seem to get value for our money. The only time I could say that there was a turnaround or there was a shift was when we had those guerrillas who had come in from South Africa. The South Africa mercenaries would be the right word to use. And we could actually see there was a push just leading to the elections, which even necessitated the postponement of elections. Now about General Irabo himself. Don't you remember there was a time where oil bunkering seemed to be rife in the Niger Delta, and this ship was captured, stealing Nigeria's oil resources. And we could have used that opportunity of the arrest of the ship crew, to investigate what was really going on. And every time you get all these people in bunkering and all, they always point an indicting government finger to government officials. So there seemed to be some sort of collusion. What did General Irabo do? He ordered that the ship be destroyed with all the crude oil and everything. That to me is a very that to me is
together with the content.
It's very strange.
We're thinking why.
That's very strange, and that I don't know how you are going to defend that in court. If I subject him to the firepower of cross-examination, it will be sweating, because you destroyed the evidence, you destroyed the economic resources of the country. It could have been sold legitimately, you know, and you just take everybody for a fool. They just destroy them. They bomb the ship and destroy the evidence, as if you're trying to destroy a trail to people in government. That for me is worrisome. So I'll take whatever is written with a pinch of salt.
I think let's also let's pull up Punch, because that's also borders on insecurity as well. And you know, since then, I mean, we've seen, you know, the spate of insecurity, even though one government to another have tried to quell, you know, the activities of these insurgents, but keep coming up in different form. But this particular one is what people are talking about from the front page of the Punch now. Inside bandit bloody attack that emptied Kwara community, hid in the roof while they laid or killed traditional ruler. That's coming from his brother. I consider suicide after losing relative. That's coming from a widow there. But if you look at this as well, because the question is, you know, they keep coming up in different ways, and they keep penetrating, because the Northeast, some people say, okay, how do we contain them, you know, and let them remain at the Northeast? But we're seeing their incursion into North Central, Northwest, and that's a whole lot of challenge.
Okay, when this kind of attacks want to occur, it's not surprising, because there's always local intelligence, which we refuse to exploit and to use to our benefit. The closest people to incidents like this are the locals. And take the Lakurawa or whatever, for instance, that's happening in Niger State, that area.
There's Taraba, as you know, as well.
What's happening in Niger State with that Lakurawa thing? It didn't start. It wasn't surprising. It didn't start all of a sudden. There was a gradual shift of people into the communities. The chiefs know when strange faces come. You're from the Niger Delta, and I worked in Niger Delta extensively, and you cannot move into the Niger Delta just like that without people accosting you. You need to go through the process. You go to the chiefs let people know that we have strangers amongst us, visitors are coming. You bring your schnapps and cola nuts and everything, and you disclose your mission. And so local people are a veritable source of information. At any time before these things really take hold, the locals see it. There's an intelligence chain where they pass information across. When we're working in Niger Delta in the communities, before our equipments are hijacked or before we are waylaid or something, we have intelligence from within the community, and they tip us off. They tell you, hey, don't come out tomorrow. There's going to be blockage in this area, whether it's Akinema, whether it's JK124, whether it's in Biama or whatever. We already have the intelligence, and this is a private company.
That's right.
Not to talk of the government. After God is government, except what government does not want to know. So we already have all this. Security is going to get informed, get in touch with legal, get in touch with community affairs. We already have it at the tip of our that there's something brewing. Don't go out. The expatriates don't go to that area. And so why can't our country with so much resources be able to pick these things? We're refusing to use local intelligence. We hear it, we get it, but we don't move at all. It's as if people wait for it to snowball into something bigger, and that's where they get more money for resolving the situation.
That's right.
That's what I think.
I think most of the papers, I mean, they capture security as one of their headlines. Let's look at we can trust insecurity. Kwara bleeds, and if you take a look at they did some a kind of infographics on the front page of the trust daily. I mean, we can trust there, and you can see the total number of people that were killed. Total number of people kidnapped, you could see there, and a lot of other happenings there. I mean, so this is perhaps a very trying time, I must say, or I would say, for not just the government now, of course, for the military, because the military are trying their own. But some people say, look, even the military cannot even do this job alone. And I'm also glad that you talked about local intelligence. I mean, people within the community, the vigilantes, and all of that. But there's also another side to it. Empower the people, give them gun, allow them to handle gun and defend themselves. Because the concern is that if the army, or if this is becoming overwhelming, for the military or for the security agencies, I mean, should we consider, empowering the people to fight for themselves? Because that's the conversation that I've been.
It is a dicey argument, okay, and I would always want to think that people should be able to defend themselves if the government is not able to. And there are also several layers to it. Right. We call the governor the chief security officer of the state, but it's just a fancy title. The governor cannot command troops. The police would not listen to him. They listen to the commissioner of police, who listens to Abuja. He listens to his boss, the IG in Abuja. The IG takes directives or instructions from the president. So effectively, the governor does not command the police. Right. So is the army. The army, whoever it is who is the GOC or the unit commander, would always escalate to the next person, his boss. Eventually, all the trail leads to the chief of army staff in Abuja. Right. He listens to the president. So the governor is just there. He is not able to do anything. And you call him the chief security officer of the state. Now, on the flip side, you have so-called vigilantes, whether it's Amotekun, whether it's Ebubago and all that, and you just give these poorly trained men guns. The first week when Amotekun was launched, Amotekun killed more people in the south, western area of the country, than even the bandits or whoever they were attempting to stop. Right. Because these people are poorly trained. They don't even have the temperament. I mean, you think the Nigerian police are trigger happy? Try the vigilantes. They don't even have as much power as the police. Look at what has been happening. Vigilantes beating up corps members and stripping them, and so it's challenging. It's challenging to want to cede power to the rights to bear arms to all these vigilantes and lesser trained whatever. Now, have we really gotten out of the arms flow that came out of the Biafran War? Because Nigeria was a relatively safe place until we had the Civil War, and you had all manners of conscription and people who had joined the army, and when they were let go, highly trained people, no source of income, they know how to bear weapons and everything. That was how we had an increment or increase in armed robbery incidences in the early 70s. And look at what is happening now with the proliferation of weapons in West Africa. We can trace it directly to the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. If you remember those clips from the invasion of the Gaddafi compound, and everybody was just carrying weapons. Right. SMGs and grenade launchers. In my mind, I was still living in the UK when we were watching this thing. In my mind, and I was saying when we were all analyzing, I said these weapons are going to find their ways into Nigeria because there's nothing to stop them.
Right.
All the way from Libya down is the desert. They just smuggle these weapons under the belly of camels or what. Between Nigeria and Niger, some places you pass through, or Chad, the border is a mango tree. And one side, you see French written here, and people just walk across. Or otherwise, how are we not able to stop these Fulani marauders pushing cattle into Nigeria just from the roof of Nigeria, northern Nigeria, carrying AK-47 on the shoulders? Nobody's able to disarm them, and they just push cattle through all the way from Guinea, Senegal, etc. They avoid Ghana now because Ghana took a very robust action against them to slaughter the cows, so they started avoiding Ghana. But there's no seriousness.
I think you've thrown up another big issue that I mean that it would be good for a conversation, a robust conversation, of course, that we need to look at. But because of our time, let's also take a look at the last local paper, Nigeria 65 PDP Nigerian Tribune. Now, if we can pull that up. PDP Capet Tinubu says president's speech boring, uninspiring, full of lies. I mean, that's on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune there. So, well, of course, I mean, we all we heard the speech from the president, and some have described it as very boring and uninspiring speech ever. But of course, we've seen that spirit from the president to see how to assure the people that, look, I'm still in charge, and I want to ensure that I meet up with my, maybe campaign promises. Was that really, do you think it was, do you agree with the position of the PDP or all the opposition parties?
Everybody has their style.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think President Obasanjo was the last erudite speaker. With due respect to most of the other presidents, I think President Obasanjo was the last erudite speaker we had as a president. It's easier for him because he was president in '79 and everything. Right. Buhari, we didn't really hear Buhari speak majorly like he did this time around when he was military head of state. Today, Diagbon was a very dominant chief of staff. His principal allowed him to shine. So Buhari's military incursion is one of the few governments in Nigeria that we refer to in a double. We usually say the Buhari-Diagbon regime. Right. We don't say that of many military. We don't say IBB and what's his number two? He was in the Okewe regime, or the other one who was naval chief. Now, we need to admit that President Bola Tinubu is not a very gifted speaker. He might be speaking on the spur of the moment. Right. He does better, in my own opinion, not when he's reading speeches and what. And even when he reads speeches, how many, if he tries to speak on the spur of the moment, extempore, it gets us into trouble. This was what happened when he was being sworn in. And we understand the part of the speech that says oil subsidy is gone was not in the speech. He just said it.
Which he claims that was what he meant, at that spot.
He said it on the spur of the moment, yes. And we got ourselves into a huge economic debacle. Right. It's like the US president says something and the stock markets go into panic. They either surges or it melts down. And we saw the direct evidence of that with what the president did when he was being sworn in, when he says first subsidy is gone forever. Immediately we started having queues and people were panic buying and everything just spiraled out of control. So in conclusion, summary, if they say the speech is lackluster or dull, I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary in which the president has always it's not and even his previous his predecessor wasn't so gifted in reading speeches either.
Okay, I think we should wrap up now with some foreign headlines here, international headlines. Let's take a pull off a FT Financial Time weekend. Police officer shot victim killed in Manchester synagogue attack, and of course, Chief Constable admit error. Well, you have we have to move away from that quickly and take a look at this. Weekend, that's where we'll stop. The hero who gave his life to save others, and Ryan Dolby, 53, successfully blocked Manchester attacker from entering the synagogue before he was shot dead by police in error. So unfortunate. I mean, we had the attack on the synagogue because this guy came up to ward off the attacker, but he was shot in error by the police. And of course, may he so rest in peace. But talk about crime and attack on worshippers, looks like it's on the increase. As wrap up now.
Yeah, well, so many things are played there, but I would narrow it down as fast as I can. This attacker was 6 years old when he was taken to the United Kingdom as an asylum seeker. I mean, this was a country that gave you refuge,
right.
Taught you how to speak English. You learned under their educational system, and you turn around in that country and you carried out this heinous attack. There's something going on. There's a disconnect.
Okay.
And the UK needs to fix it. When I got to the UK as a graduate student, I was very shocked, very different to what I had imagined the United Kingdom was going to be. And they showed how tolerant they were. You could see everybody covering their head, burqa there, this, that, freedom of expression, freedom of religion.
Right.
But I think the United Kingdom needs to look inwards, because it seems that the rise of homegrown attackers, it's not stopping. It happened in July 7th of July in 2005, I think, where you had a lot of bombings and everything. Right. And all these people, most of these people have always been people who sought refuge in the UK. So why do you seek refuge in another man's country and go to destroy it?
I think we need to leave it there. Thank you so much. Kola Lakmini is an international human rights lawyer. Thank you for coming on Daybreak. Well, that's all we have time for here on Daybreak. I am Frank Omanapeth. Thank you for watching. Please keep it here on Arise News.